Hi friends, happy to see you all back. Today, again, we are connecting for one more Learning from Experts series. And today, our speaker also well known. Again, we are connecting with Mr. John Nicholas from USA. And he is going to be and he's going to talk about very interesting topics, and he's going to take over from two. This is our second series of program we are doing with Mr. John, and so much of things to learn from him. So today, again, I'm connecting with him for getting more knowledge from him. So before I'm just inviting Mr. John, I'm going to show your John's profile. Then we will move to just connect with Mr. John. So today's topic, we're going to see in learning from the experts, how I build my business from 2 people to 20, from 10,000 to 20 million. So that's going to be a topic today, which Mr. John, and he will come and give that what kind of things we have to follow and what is his experience on that. And like last time, we have Mr. John Nicholas, who has been CLU President of Disability Resource Group of National Insurance Agency, partner with Passengers and Global Insurance Broking Frame. As a life and qualifying MDRT from John has 22 years experience of MDRT and we use 2 years UT and 15 years continuous top of table member. He is Excalibur Knight level contribution and Legend of Honor of member with the MDRT Foundation. So John also, currently John serves as president of MDRT Foundation. John has done frequently speaking into MDRT main platform in 2012 and 2019 and section speakers in 2004, 2010, 2015 and 2018 and many more. John had done more than 500 programs in the United States of America. And he also 124th National President of National Insurance Association Insurance Advisors. So I'm happy to welcome Mr. John to once again connect with us for our learning center. He will be teaching a lot of things today. Good day, sir. How are you, sir?
Great to be with you, and thank you for the invite. I appreciate it very much.
I'm happy to whenever I see you, that sir, I get more energetic. And you've been the last program what we did it with how to be a right fit day. That's more motivational, more impact, which you talk about a lot of things. Again, I hope the topic right now you choose it out would be more attractions, a lot of learning from you, sir. Looking forward, sir.
Where would you like to begin?
So what was your changeover, sir? 10 to 20 millions or 2 to 20, whatever it is.
So to begin, why don't we just prove it? And so I have with me today my personal financial statement. You can see the date over there on the other, well, I'll do over here, 1999.
Wow.
And so at the bottom, you'll see cash in bank. You see that? And there's in right here. Oh, let me go right there is the B checking account. There's the $10,000.
Yes, sir.
Where you see the 10,000? No.
Yes, I see it.
So imagine coming home to your wife and saying, "Hey, honey, I'm going to start a business tomorrow, and I got $10,000 in the bank." How do you think that went over? Yeah, and then I had to tell her, well, I have to take half of that 10,000 and pay my second employee or first employee, me, and then my Benjamin. And she said, well, so now you only have 5,000. And I say this jokingly. So if you turn the page, you'll see there's my life insurance in force. And you can see it's a whopping, the death benefit amount is 360,000. And then how much was the cash value right there at the bottom? 13,500?
Yes, sir.
My honey said, "You're worth more to me dead than alive." anyways, I started the business anyways. And I think, so a couple of things. I've thought about this in our time today, and I wanted to think about certain elements about building a business. And before we do that, I just want to put the disclaimer out there. You know, we measure, some people measure success, and maybe it's society in general measures success with, you know, the amount of premium, the amount of revenue, profit, income. And so, yes, I will share my numbers as I have. But it's not about the numbers, right? The numbers might be the reward, and then I have the responsibility to take that reward and do something productive with it, something that's meaningful, something that's impactful in other people's lives, such as, you know, the work with the MDRT Foundation as one example. And so I don't want the audience to get too caught up into the numbers. I'd rather have the learning points be some of the philosophies and some of the elements and the thinking that went into how to build a business that can have impact not only for employees, but also your clients, and then obviously for ourselves and our families. Does that make sense?
Perfect, sir.
And so to begin with, you know, I didn't start the business when I entered the insurance industry. I joined an agency and I was a single producer. And yet the mindset was probably the first element. And I always had a mindset of being an entrepreneur or being a company as opposed to being an employee in that agency. And so I always thought of John Nichols Incorporated, even though I was working in an agency. And so right from the beginning, I had that business mindset. And so I would just encourage the audience, you know, look at yourself, and that's kind of where you begin is what's your mindset. And so then secondly was before I opened the business, I had a business plan. So I think having a plan was absolutely critical. Now, my business plan was around 25 pages. Not that the pages matters, but just from a perspective standpoint, the business plan for the company that I'm now a partner in, who's got 14,000 employees, that gentleman's business plan was 1,000 pages. And he built over $1 billion company. Now, doesn't mean the number of pages equals the size of the business, but it's just the thinking that goes into building a business needs to come out, needs to be thought of, needs to be written down. And then there's a strategic plan that you can follow. Even the MDRT organization, as well as the MDRT Foundation, has a strategic plan. And so I would encourage the audience to huddle up, whether it's with you, advisors, and think through a business plan. And the first element of a business plan is, what's the purpose of the business? There is a purpose for your learning center. There is a purpose for the business that I started. And one of the purposes is we help people protect and live out their dreams and goals. And the question is, well, how do we do that? Well, we do that through disability insurance planning, etc. And so that was the kind of the genesis of the business that we started back in 1999. So first, what's your mindset? Secondly, do you have a plan or think about having a plan? The third is people. Got to have the right types of people, surrounding you. And my first hire was a gentleman by the name of Benjamin Perez. 20 years has gone by, and Benjamin is still with me. We still work together. And he does things that I don't particularly like to do, and I do things that he doesn't particularly like to do. And so it's made for a great partnership in helping build out the business. And so one of the other things with respect to people is, and I'm going to use the term profile, we hire people for character and attitude, and then we help build out the skill sets that we need for our business. But we don't hire people that are just like me or just like Benjamin. We hire people that are different than us, that say bring a different capability to the table to help us build out the business, whether that be the accountant, the technology, inside sales, operations, and outside sales. And so we have, those are kind of the major roles within our business. So mindset, plan, people, and then process. And the process, you have to think through, how are your clients, customers, going to go through the business process of doing business with you? What's the steps that they take? What's the experience that they are going to have when they interface with your business? And get as granular as you want. Now, for me, my operations team really helped build out the process. And as a matter of fact, I hired a project manager to force us to document the process that our clients would go through. And we use that for teaching our new staff members, and we continually refine that to improve the experience that the client is going to go through. And then just the last element, and we'll come back for questions. The last element is personal growth. If you're the leader of the business, and whether that be a single person business or 20-person business or 100-person business, doesn't matter. You as the leader need to continually learn. And by continually learning, you will continue to elevate the organization and the people in the organization, and be able to continually provide more value, not to your clients, but also to your employees. I've been very, very fortunate. Well, let me back up. And where this concept came from for me was through John Maxwell. He said it so well, that if you're at a 6 in your learning, your growth stage, your employees, your teams are only going to get to like a 4 or a 5. But if you grow to an 8 or a 9, your team is going to be able to grow to a 7 or an 8. And so for me, over the past number of years, 30 years, every year I am learning. I'm involved in a class trying to learn new material or revisiting old material that's relevant to what we're in with respect to our business. And so, for example, some of you may have heard of Strategic Coach. I was involved in Strategic Coach for 10 years. I've been a student in John Maxwell's learning. I've been a student in Lance Secretarian's classes. I've done leadership training courses. I mean, so I just continually get involved in learning environments. The MDRT book clubs, I mean, it's forced me to read a book a month that I wouldn't have read if I hadn't been involved in the book clubs. And so continually work on yourself so that as you improve, so can your team, and then therefore your business. And maybe let me add one additional piece, and then I'll turn it back and we'll ask some questions and maybe dive a little deeper. You know, to go from 10,000 to 20 million, what were some of the thinking around that, or some of the methodologies around that? One, I wanted to be in a recurring revenue business. And I look at recurring in two different ways. One is certainly products and services that continually pay year over year. But I also look at it from a client standpoint. I want to be involved in industries in which there is a flow of new employees so that I have new clientele coming into our business cycle. And so that's also a recurring model of doing business. And so those are the two elements in which I applied to the business to help us go from 10,000 to 20 million. And then lastly, and not for today, but I then took the asset I had and I sat on top of the asset. I hired my successor. And so now I'm actually have a business that's operating without me. Well, it's not necessarily operating without me because I'm feeding it strategy. I'm feeding it larger clients, but I'm able to do things without having to worry about the really minutia or day-to-day activities of the business. And so then from having a successor, I was able to monetize the business and position the asset, the business, inside of a much, much bigger business that is going to give us a stream of revenue, a stream of clients on forever and ever and ever and ever. And so my team and anyone else that joins our team will always have opportunities to do business. And so now we've become much more of a purpose-driven business because we're less concerned about finding clients and more concerned about elevating our purpose, protecting people's dreams and goals, and applying our skill set across the opportunities that we have. And then last point, being in a position to monetize wasn't about capturing the money. It was about positioning the business to be able then to wealth build as the bigger business grows. And that in just a short 5 years has been a 4x, well, 4.5 actually. It's been a 4x in 5 years. And the way this company is going, and based on the information I have, it's going to be another 4x in about another 3 to 4 years. And so that's kind of been the evolution of this business, literally from ground zero, 10,000 to, millions. But more importantly than the money has been the impact that we've had, the number of lives that we've touched with our products and our services and our skill set. That's the best summary I can do in the time we have today.
Sir, wonderful, wonderful. And that the way you talk about it's amazing, sir. And you have the long visions. You took with the long visions right now. All the best for your long visions, whatever you've been planning to do. So just moving some questions right now. So you've been statistically working from 1991 or to till date. So how you see the change, sir? What was the adapted systems you made it? How you see the change?
Yeah, and this is really important. And I don't mean to be hard on myself, but there are some decisions that I made or didn't make that I missed out on some opportunities, and it's life goes on. I'm not crying over the spilt milk, if you will. But so give you a few examples during that just 20 years, 1999 to 2019. It was our second office space. And we were running out of space in that office because we were growing. And I was looking around the office and I was trying to figure out why we were out of space. And I saw all these filing cabinets. I mean, I bet we had, I don't know, 50 of them, these 4 or 5 drawer filing cabinets. And I was wondering, are we in the filing cabinet business? And no, we're not in the filing cabinet business. We're in the information business. We're in the data business, but we're not in the filing cabinet business. So is there a better way of storing the data? Now this goes back, 15 years, maybe 20 years ago. And so we made the conversion from filing cabinets to moving to the scanning environment, the cloud environment, the paperless environment, and we made that switch. And initially my team was hesitant, but once they got into it, it was technology, it was easier, it was cleaner, it was simpler, it was filing cabinets, in the cloud today, as an example. So I got out of the filing cabinet business. So, where I made the mistake is I didn't leverage technology as much as I could have, or maybe should have. I don't want to call it a should, but if I had to do it again, I would have hired a chief technology officer 20 years ago. Why? Because I believe we're in the technology business. We just happen to be distributing insurance products. And I think it's clear, make it clear for the audience, I only do insurance products. I do not manage money. I'm not in at the advisory business for managed money. So that's probably one of the wishes, if I had to do it over, is to hire a chief technology officer. That said, even without it, obviously we've had the success.
Wonderful, sir. And when I was traveling to one of the annual meetings, I remember it was in Los Angeles, I believe. So I was interacting one of the top advisors who done 10 years TOTs and other thing. So he was explaining about everything you do yourself, like servicing, prospecting, doing sales. You could not reach your TOT on that. So definitely the support system required to reach the next level, sir, or TOT or double TOTs, or what kind of your experience? Definitely we need our staffs to take care of that business.
I think it's number one, it's important to understand, what are you best in the world at? Me, what am I best in the world at? And so for me, I am really, really, really good at connecting the dots and positioning myself and the firm in the marketplace. And so people call that, are you a hunter or are you a farmer? Well, I'm more of a hunter than I am a farmer. And I enjoy that. And so I spend, I try to spend, at least in that day, 80% of my time going out and hunting, going out and positioning, going out and connecting, going out and networking and leveraging our skill set with other people's skill set to attract the right type of clients. And this goes back to our right fit day. Right fit day is my right fit behaviors. 80% of my time needs to be on the phone, seeing people, networking, and getting the firm positioned to be able to attract the types of clients that we want. Once you start to understand that, I mean, as a small business, you tend to not spend 80% of your time. You're doing many things. The sooner you can delegate that off and trust the fact that if you do hand it off, you will spend more time creating revenue, which will then pay for the next staff person or the next process or the next pieces of the puzzle. And that does take trust. I mean, some people want to wait until they create the revenue to then hire that person. I did it the other way. I said, the sooner I hire that person, just as when I went home and I told my wife, hey, I'm taking half of my 10,000, I'm going to pay my second employee, or Benjamin, and I'm going to pay him half. I knew that would motivate me to get out there and create more revenue. And it did. And we went from 10,000 the first month to 16,000 the second month. We did 32,000 the third month, and we just kept growing. And as that was happening, that gave me the confidence to be able to add the next employee. And remember, I talked about that business plan. About 12 years into the business, I went back to that business plan. Probably should have gone back earlier, but I had accomplished everything that I had written on that business plan, from hiring outside sales reps to having multiple locations, the revenue targets, the process was in place. I had done exactly what that business plan had dictated. I actually had to rewrite the business plan and think about it a little differently on what the next piece was going to be for the business as a whole. So again, it kind of comes back a little bit to that business plan and thinking through it.
Great, sir. Great. And understand. You talk about the mindset of the human being, mindset of the people has to change. So what kind of mindset you changed it when you're struggling or 8 years could not able to complete the MDRT? And after that, you started applying to that, sir. So what was the one thing you changed from the mindset to approach different, sir?
Yeah, so I've always had a very positive mindset and pretty strong will, and maybe it's stubbornness to succeed. I would say one element that we touched on maybe the right fit day was surrounding yourself with people that are actually performing better, to learn from them, to then apply it to yourself and then apply it to your business. And whether that be MDRT or other organizations or other business leaders in your community, I have always enjoyed hanging around with people that are I don't want to say better than me, just they're performing as well or better than me. I want to hang around successful people, however you want to define that. And so I can learn from them, and they can learn from me, and I can then apply that to myself, and I can apply it to my business. And so hanging around TOT members, I didn't think I'd make TOT, and then I made TOT, and it's like, all right, I made it the first year, but I don't know how the heck I'm going to make it the second year. And I was like, well, wait a minute, I made it the second year. Now, wait a minute, how am I going to do it a third year? You know, and And so you start to elevate the standard in which you're going to operate in. And last night I watched the Duke basketball team because it was Coach K's last home game. And he's playing a rival, North Carolina. And Duke, they played well. They didn't play well enough. And North Carolina went out and won that game. So they were honoring Mike Krzyzewski, and they were having a big program afterwards. Before that program spoke, Mike went up to the microphone. I don't know if you saw it, but he went up to the microphone. He said, "This isn't part of the program, but I want," and the stadium is full. Cameron is full. It's full of all the fans, the his basketball former teammates or team members were there. The team was there. The president of the university was in the audience, as a matter of fact. And Mike took the mic and he said, "I'm really sorry. That was an unacceptable performance on our part. That is not the standard we live by. And I will not let that happen in my next game." And that's kind of how we have to live, right? We have a choice, right? As human beings, we have a choice how you want to live. You can, hey, nothing wrong. If you want to go to the beach, hang out, read a book, have a beer, that's your choice. So we all have that choice. But for me, I've always wanted to maximize my potential. I've always wanted to make a difference in people's lives. I always wanted to try to be a role model. And so, yeah, we have to elevate that standard. And I think MDRT helps us do that. And not MDRT, the organization itself, but the people that are MDRT, right? And there are so many people I could mention, people that you and I know, that they've elevated my standard. And I'd have to name off hundreds of them, but you know who they are. And they elevate my standard, whether it's my dress, whether it's my words, whether it's my process, whether it's my business. And it isn't always about the money. It's about how we operate as human beings. And so anyways, I wouldn't go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, so hanging around with people that are helping me elevate my standard, that are willing to challenge me. Sometimes as leaders, we get to a place where people are not afraid, but they're unwilling to challenge us. And challenge doesn't have to be a negative word. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person. They're just challenging me to think differently. You and I have somebody that we're in class with, Logan. Logan, politely, funnily, he challenges my thinking.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? And he does it, and he smiles, but he helps me think about a problem or my behavior in a way in which, yes, I was too presumptuous with that. I would have had more impact if I asked a question rather than just assume the answer. No?
Perfect. Before getting the meeting, we had one discussion. So I said I want to continue the discussion in the meeting itself. So I admire about writing a book. So I asked you about that. What was your experience with writing a first book? So as a entrepreneurs or as an insurance book specialist or anybody, definitely they want to write some kind of books which want to share something to the public or the followers for that. So what was your experience? How it was your first book, sir?
So I've written two books. One is called, I can't even remember what the first one was. I know it. One was much more about the process, and And the second one was passion, purpose, protection. It was more consumer driven, and it was more storytelling of how to get positioned with clients. And so, you know, the books were filled with content that I use on a daily basis. So it was just taking how I interface with clients. So for example, I gave you the line, what's our purpose? Well, we're here to, you know, people ask me, what do you do for a living? Well, I help people protect their dreams and goals, or I help people live out their dreams and goals. And people go, well, geez, how do you do that? And you know, and I have a storyboard for that conversation. So that first book was about having the conversation and the process that I use, the 5-step process that I take our clients through. And so it was already content that I had. It was just a matter of getting it into a book format. And so that's what I did. And I put it out there, and then I wrote the second book. And I really enjoyed the process of writing the book, because I think it's helpful to get it out of me and get it into a format for distribution. So why did I write the book? 2 reasons. One, I wanted to use the content in a book format. So that's one. And 2, I wanted to take that to go get positioned in the marketplace, showcasing our expertise. And as I mentioned earlier, brand us as an expert in this particular area of our industry. And so, as we talked about, be careful or be cognizant when you're writing a book, how you're framing you and your firm up. How are you positioning you and your firm up? Because once you do it and you put it out to the marketplace, people are going to, they hear my name, John Nichols, and they think, oh, he's the disability guy. And that's a brand I'm okay with, right? I'm fine with that. But so you just have to make sure, is that the brand we want associated with our name? Because it will happen. I mean, I know you because of the Insurance Learning Center. I also know you because of MDRT. So why do we join MDRT? We're attaching ourselves to that brand. And that brand is a brand of excellence that goes back to that standard. And we want to be associated with that. When you write a book, when you create content, whether it be a book, a podcast, a blog, an article, an interview such as this, be cognizant of one, the words, the content, but the branding that goes with it. And ask yourself, why are we doing this? How are you going to use the content to help your clients or future clients, help your firm, and obviously helping yourself?
It's a great learning about books, and surely we need to do a separate program for that. What kind of skills is required to be in other things. One more interesting thing I want to ask you, in the last meeting itself, I just kept it that questions. So you've been covered with more than 500 talks, right, sir? In US, you did 500 talks in the US, and the main platform speaking and focus section speakings and connections. What was the quality required on to be being a good speaker, sir? So if I want to be a good speaker, what are the what do you think these are the things required to be a good speaker?
So remember, we talked about improving ourselves through learning, continuous learning. When I was born, I wasn't born as a speaker. I was born, I came out crying, right? And so it's something that needs to be learned, and any one of us can learn it. And so I hired a coach. Her name is Patricia Fripp, F-R-I-P-P. And Patricia, she's a top 25 public speaker. She's a Hall of Fame speaker. And I went to her classes, and she taught me how to craft a speech and then how to present. And it comes down to the content, comes down to the structure of the content, and it comes down to the presentation itself, the style, whether that be hand gestures, excuse me, or the words that we use. You know, some speakers do a lot of ums and ahs, and she'll remove that. One of her naughty words that you can never, ever, ever say, and she would charge me $100 for saying it, if I said the word stuff. Stuff is not a word we use in public speaking. Say I want to share all my stuff, she would charge me $100. And so you know, what comes with becoming a speaker is practice. And look at, I've had 500 or more events to practice. And believe me, I wasn't very good. And, you know, I just keep trying to get better. But one of the aspects of public speaking, and I would say selling as well, is the ability to tell a story. So the reason, and I humbly say it, the reason I was able to do as much public speaking as I have, it started because I had a story. Yes, it was a very personal story. And then I was able to turn that story into learning points. And so great to have a story, great to be able to tell the story, but what are the learning points that come from that story?
Great, sir. Great. And I also need a coach to get to be great speaker. So generally, like me, a lot of people, there could be some kind of process. That's what I just understand you. Definitely, we need a coach to learn about that, right, sir? Yeah.
Yeah, so coach, you know, so it's the content, it's the structure of that content, and then it's the presentation itself. If people would email you their email address, I'm happy to send a PDF version of my book. And if you just read 1/3, just the first third of the book, you will see the content, the structure, and the presentation. It's basically my presentation in written form in the book. And so I'm more than happy to share that. And quite frankly, for the audience, and many of you have taken advantage of it, take advantage of MDRT. And we're always looking for speakers. And it could be a session speech. It doesn't have to be main platform. It could be, and maybe you graduate to that just as I did, but take the time to do a session speaker. One of my mentees out of Oklahoma is going through that process right now and will be speaking in Boston as a session speech. He's got a great story. He just needed to learn how to package it and then put learning points to the content.
Great, sir. And hope I also join with that. With when I see Boston, definitely get and go through that. And I will be putting John's email ID into the descriptions with the John's with all his details. You can able to see it in our YouTube page. You can able to find John's email ID. So you are interested, just text him and definitely be sending the PDF of his book and one thing. So before there is a lot of question again. So again, I'll connect if some other program will know about that. And before ending it, sir, there's one questions keep coming to my mind whenever I I've been watching the TV, or I've been watching, meeting the members. So now after the pandemic, there are a lot of negativity surrounding us. Like whenever you switch on the TVs or whenever the media now, well, first it was COVID. Now we are facing the difficult times in the war. So what was your review, sir? What are the adapted systems we need to overcome this one?
So I'm so glad you brought it up, and I asked a friend of mine at MDRT so just pardon me, I just want to pull up an email that I received last night. Well, I received at 6:18 this morning. I asked somebody at MDRT, do we have any members in Ukraine? Do we have any members in Russia? And we have 2 members of MDRT in Ukraine. And so I emailed both of them, and they were Gmail accounts, and one got through and one responded. And he said, hi, John, thank you so much for your email and your sympathy and connecting via MDRT. And English is not his first language, so just pardon the sentence. We hold on, we are strong and powerful. I am in Ukraine. And so we're all connected in this. We're as Mike Krzyzewski said last night, we're all brothers. And, well, he meant to say we're all brothers and sisters. And, from men's basketball team, he said, we're all brothers. MDRT, we're all brothers and sisters. And we have an incredible opportunity as MDRT members. We can be an incredible role model of positivity, of the never give up attitude, the make a difference attitude. We have that opportunity. I truly believe 90,000 members strong. I truly believe we as an organization of 90,000 members can have a positive impact on our greater global community by showcasing that we're brothers and sisters. We believe in peace. We believe in common values of love, peace, honesty, goodwill, hope, a better future. I believe we all represent that. At least that's what I've experienced with MDRT. And the funny thing is we all, as brothers and sisters of MDRT, we pay dues for this. And I tell you, I can pay double the dues for the experience. I get to meet you. I get to meet Logan. I get to meet so many members that are not here in the United States that I get to learn from, and that I understand that we have common values of family, friendship, love, as I mentioned, peace. I mean, those common values, no different here in the United States than they are in India, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Ukraine, no different. We may have different gods, but we don't have different values. And so I truly believe our organization, our global connections can have a positive impact. And I think it's our responsibility to continue to position our positive energy, our positive attitude, our skill set, our expertise and our knowledge of what we know, and continually apply that to our worlds, in our neighborhoods, in our communities, etc. So I don't know if that answers the question, but if I could just leave on that note, that know that we're all in this together. We're all connected. If I can connect with somebody from the Ukraine, I can connect with any member that is viewing this video. We're all connected, and we're here to help each other continually improve on that standard to make a difference in the lives that we touch.
Sir, more motivations, and definitely, sir. I do have few friends over there in Ukraine, and I'm keep connecting with them for their goodness. And luckily, they are all safe. So that then I understand what was the value I had when I travel abroad and meeting so much of people. Even I have friends in Russia, so that makes sense. For we get the information, so they don't like it. Actually, they don't like the war. So it depends on them, to country, to diplomat. It's a great decision. But we don't get into that. But I'm saying it. You rightly put it in the word. I'll accept it, sir. We are all brothers and sisters. So we are here to grow from the learning from each other. That is the idea of the webinars we are doing. We connect with the different programs. What one thing they can take it from that, then to apply into their day-to-day activities, to change their they can able to successful in their life. That's what. And I'm so blessed to have speakers like you to connect it all over the world. I'm able to bring it to the audience who want to desperately to increase their income, increase their knowledge, increase their productivity. I'm very happy about that, sir. So thank you so much for your wonderful time, sir. Looking forward for one more program. And thank you so much, friends. And today we have wonderful learning from Mr. John, and hope you all liked it. So if you liked it, if you really want John's profiling and you want to know about his books, I'm just putting his email ID downstairs, and even my email ID also, for the feedback of the program. You can always send your questions. That could be sent it to Mr. John, and we'll get the answers, and we will be sending back to you all. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Mr. John.